Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, hello, my name is Jenna and today I'm going to go through all the books I read in June of 2026. Getting right into it, I read 4 books. I read The Weaver Bride, Soul Searching, Since You've Been Gone, and Never Lie. Starting off with The Weaver Bride, this is by Lydia Gregovic. I found this in a bookshop. I have never seen anybody read it, and the cover is beautiful, so I instantly picked it up and was so excited to read it. I love a good romantasy, especially if it's YA, which is what this is. There's no spice, and it is just so poetic and fun. If you love the selection, if you love Powerless, this is a really, really good choice. You're following Lavette Tamerlan, who is a silk witch, and she essentially has the ability to open any door. And if you're a silk witch, you're essentially either doomed or you can marry a weaver and basically have a normal life. So either get married to someone who's in charge of you, or you're doomed to do something that is not fun and very painful for the rest of your life. So she has been hiding the fact that she is a silk witch to protect herself and stealing from weavers, which is really fun because she, of course, does not like them. Elliot Lear, who is the son of a very established weaver, sees what she's doing and comes up to her because he needs to figure out what on earth happened to his sister, because last year there was a marriage competition to the Weaver Prince, and Elliot's sister died during it. She was murdered, or we don't really know what happened, but he's assuming she was murdered, and he needs to figure out what on earth is happening. So they're redoing the marriage competition this year with the same girls except one, which was Ophelia, who's Elliot's sister. So he comes up to Lavette. I see you stealing from the weavers. I know that you can open doors. Can you help me so you don't get arrested? And so you follow them, and she goes into the competition, and the rest is from there. I love this. It was more so kind of like, I wouldn't say they were really enemies to lovers at first. It was more so like they're just two people that are very unlikely to work together, but I wouldn't say that she full-on hates him. But yeah, this is super fun. Again, YA, no spice. If you like the selection, I would highly recommend reading this. It really doesn't have, the one thing I did not really prefer about the selection was that it's, you know, obviously more so for high schoolers, so there was a lot more girl drama between all the girls in the marriage competition, whereas this one, there really wasn't that, which I definitely liked. So that was different from the selection, I would say. But yeah, I rated this 4 stars. The next book comes out in September. This is a duology, which is also great because if you love fantasy, especially fantasy romance, there's usually a whole series involved with it, but this is just a duology. It's expected to come out on September 29th. Next up, I read Soul Searching by Lila Sage. This was my first book from Lila Sage, and I rated it a 3.5 stars. This book is a paranormal western romance with forced proximity, and the main character, Collins, can actually see ghosts, whereas the MMC, Brady, is just a guy. They have a very fun dynamic. She is coming back to her hometown and needs somewhere to stay, and lo and behold, her family knows Brady, who owns I believe a reupholstering furniture shop, and his apartment is upstairs, which has 2 bedrooms with like the shared living space. So she ends up living with him while also working at his shop while being with her family. So she gets a job and a place to live. That is kind of the situation you start out with. And I would say that obviously they're soul searching because of the paranormal aspect, but I would say it's very much so I wouldn't say a slow burn, because it doesn't take as long for them to get together as you would most likely prefer, where it's, you know, the last 80% of the book they finally get together. I wouldn't say it takes that long at all, but long enough to where they can finally figure out who they are as individuals before they get together. And the next book in the series is actually also supposed to come out in September, which is about her twin sister named Clark, who falls in love in that as well. So yeah, this read was really fun. Again, rated at 3.5 stars. Would I read it again? I don't know if I would read it again, but I would definitely recommend it because being a paranormal Western romance, it really turned out well. I would say though, if you're looking for a Western romance, again by Lila Sage, I wouldn't really pick this one up because of that. It's really more so paranormal and like 1 or 2 chapters of the Western vibes. But yeah, Soul Searching, Lila Sage, that was book number 2. Okay. Then I read Since You've Been Gone. I found this book in a little free library a while ago. It is, again, another book that a lot of people read in middle or high school, YA. It is about a girl named Emily who her best friend named Sloane and her family disappears, and the only thing Emily has left from her best friend is a list of things for her to do over the summer. And right away you can tell by the list that Sloane is much more the outgoing social butterfly, will take more risks, and Emily is much more of a antisocial, rule follower. So it's things like go skinny dipping, kiss a stranger, steal something, those kind of things on the list, which are just really silly and childish and fun. And Emily believes that if she can do all these things on this list, that her best friend Sloane and her family will just come back. And this book was really fun. It really brought back just like a silly high school movie you would watch. And at first, the main character, Emily, really honestly annoyed me because she was just very whiny and she just didn't really want to do anything, but she had really good character development, which I loved. The more and more things she would do off of the list, and that was really cool to see. But then by the end, she just does something that completely tears apart everything she's built. All of these new friends just completely get torn apart, which just made me mad. So up until that, I was probably going to rate it a 4-star, and then I ended up rating it a 2.75 because it just completely destroyed everything for me. If I read it when I was younger, I might have rated it higher, but yeah, I am very sad about this book. And I also had the physical copy and the audiobook, which I listened to the audiobook while I was on a road trip. And this book is almost 500 pages. So I would recommend doing the audiobook if you don't think you can read that many pages and you want to read just a YA book that reminds you of high school. I would recommend it. But yeah, I would just say that it disappointed me. But again, I might just be older. I don't know. The last book was Never Lie by Frida McFadden. Guys, I finally read Never Lie. The only other books by Frida McFadden I've read are The Housemaid and The Housemaid's Secret, and everyone keeps telling me that Never Lie is her best one. I would definitely agree. It's amazing, and you are following this couple who are house hunting, and of course, where do they go house hunting? You're in a Frida McFadden book. They're in a snowstorm going to a really creepy mansion where they possibly want to live, and they find out that this mansion was owned by a very famous author who was murdered. And guess what? They get stuck there, and they have to be there, and they find all these tapes because she was a psychiatrist and a therapist. So they're finding all these tapes, trying to figure out what on earth happened to her. Maybe one of these people murdered her. So it's really fun. It's really crazy. It's not even 300 pages, so it's very short. I would recommend, though, reading it in the winter because of the atmosphere if you are a seasonal reader. I just really wanted to get to it, so I read it in June. But I really enjoyed it. I rated it 4.5 stars. So this was my highest rated book of June. So Weaver Bride was 4 stars, Soul Searching 3.5, Since You've Been Gone 2.75, and Never Lie was 4.5. Alright guys, that's going to do it for today's video. If you have read any of these books, let me know down below. Let me know what you thought, and I will see you guys next time for another video. Bye everybody.